you are so very much following the rubric that's laid out for you by society, by people and institutions who've already had the courage to take up some level of power in the world, whether it's for good or not for so good. They're not so much drifting because these large forces, these larger than life figures, whether they're doing good or bad, because it's a mix of things, these larger than life, like non drifters in society, that very small 2%, some of them are doing amazing things in the world. They are contributing in incredible ways, like working to shift the world positively and actually help to alleviate areas of marginalization and oppression across the world. And there are others that aren't, that are exploiting and whatever. But regardless, there are folks in the world, there are institutions in the world who have had the courage. There are folks in the world and institutions and businesses in the world that are not drifting. They've had the resourcefulness, they have guts and courage, and they have the wherewithal to fail and fail as many times as it takes to get to where they want to go. So they are the creators, they are the conscious creators of society. Some are doing awesome things to heal oppression, marginalization, awful things in the world, and others are not so much. They're actually contributing to that. So I'm not going to really speak to that part of it so much, but just the energy so much, more so the energy of how these other non-drifters are showing up in a way that is like they are going to get what they want. They are going to birth what they felt like they came here to do, and they're going to live the life that they want to live, like no matter what. They're not going to let one, two, three, four, five failures break them. They're going to keep going for what they want. They're going to keep with this courage and this determination. And they're going to take the lessons. They're going to extract most of them. I think if they're going to keep rising to higher and higher levels, they have to extract the lessons that they were given in this world to overcome in order to get to that level, in order to have the power to take up space. These are people, the non drifters, are people who are not afraid to take up space in the world. They're not afraid to live their authenticity and to live their dream, and list people who are drifters to unconsciously support their dream and get paid a small salary or hourly wage, get paid something so the drifters can just keep surviving and supporting this larger than life kind of person, larger than life organization or institutions, goals or aims. Those institutions, those entities can be working in a way that's amazing and doing beautiful work in the world, or not, or maybe in a more neutral way too. That part of it I'm not even going to touch for now. But the point is that the non-drifters, people across society, they're distributed widely across society, but they're a very small number of people, 2% of the entire world population thereabouts, according to Napoleon Hill, who do things very differently than the other 98% of people. Like the other 98% of people, which I have been for most of my life a drifter, they don't have the courage to create their own thing. They only have the wherewithal to keep doing what they've always done, what's familiar, what feels like it's going to be safe enough to help them keep surviving. They're willing to do the minimum to get by and survive and have their basic needs met, but usually they're not willing to do anything more than that. And they are terrified, oftentimes, the drifters. I've been one of the drifters for most of my life, to break out of the norm, out of the shell, out of their comfort zone, to be honest or move towards an awareness of what is really for them, what artistic gift, what creative vision, what beautiful thing that they came to birth and contribute to this world. There is something there for them that they're not willing to even tap into or see. So they're just operating in survival mode. Oftentimes, drifters have a lot of unhealthy habits like binge watching Netflix, being inactive, overeating, smoking cigarettes, drinking, the list goes on, sex addiction, and more. So they're oftentimes very distracted because they're disconnected from themselves, and a lot of them don't want to feel their emotions. They just want to simply get by, coasting in their comfort zone and making basic ends meet. Some people not even doing that, but I think most drifters are at least surviving, getting by, making ends meet, paying their basic bills, and maybe retiring from a job when they're in their 60s or 70s or 80s and hoping to live some freedom at that point. But oftentimes they've demeaned their health so much that they don't live a whole bunch of time after they end up retiring, and they don't have the energy and vitality because they're already maybe 65, 70, or even 80 before they get to that point. And a lot of their energy has been depleted and beaten down, and they're just so disconnected with themselves that they just continue coasting in the same old habits, and while maybe not working or working in a different capacity but still not aligned with like their highest vision and goal, just extra pocket money maybe here or there, and doing the same old habits they always did, like the coasting drifting habits, versus using that time, or ideally an earlier time before they even get to retirement, to start tapping into their greater potential, living a more aligned life, doing the thing that they really came here to do, that gift, that special gift that each and every one of us has to share with the world and birth into this world to create a higher reality, to raise the vibration of ourselves and of the planet. That is unfortunate. That is the case for a lot of people, a lot of drifters. With that 2% of people, the non drifters, according to Napoleon Hill, they have that courage. They don't wait till retirement either. They do this earlier on in life. At some point, at least by middle age to early senior years, they get tired. That's probably more my case, waiting until after my 20s and 30s to start doing what I really came here to do. I'm just tired of the old habits of drifting, living in pure survival mode, not following my heart and soul's vision that lights me up, and sharing what I came here to do, letting go of this egoic structure that kept me so scared for so long, merely living in self preservation, status quo way of living, but actually coming here, trying for more, showing up, taking courage, because it takes courage to be seen. It takes courage to do unconventional things that when you tell society, because if you tell someone in your daily life, they ask you what you do, and you say, "Oh, I have a YouTube channel, and we talk about living an aligned life and growing into your authenticity and moving into your greater and higher purpose in life." Nobody's going to know how to respond to that. They're going to be shocked, and they're not going to be able to respond to that. Oh, they'll be like, "Oh, okay, interesting." Or just be like, "Oh, okay, how do you pay the bills?" That's probably the most obvious question, because there's this belief in society that you can't pay your bills if you're doing something unconventional, right? If you're not following a conventional doctor, lawyer, business executive, a traditional celebrated path in society, right? That has retirement benefits, insurance benefits, like all the standard things, right? That we've been taught to value in society, that kind of a job. So we're scared. Like, we're scared of what we would even say if people asked us what we did, right? Like, even if we believed we could make ends meet doing this. And it's a lot to overcome. And it takes a lot of courage to actually do the thing that you really came here to do. Or maybe it's more than one thing, it's multiple things. Like, for my husband, he has this creative genius for mechanical things. He just has a way of seeing through and understanding machines in a way that I never could. I'm able to sit there, and he can work with machines, and he can work with apps and technology in a way that's really genius and smart. Because of his own survival fears and this heavily conditioned mainstream survival fear, he's been afraid to break out and create his own thing. He's stuck with a traditional, accepted by society type of technology role that doesn't quite light him up. He's starting to birth this new thing into reality finally, but it took him a long time to overcome needing to do this one job forever that was somewhat aligned with his genius and passion, but wasn't his true passion and genius. He's done it for decades and ultimately not super fulfilled with it. He still is of good service to people, and it is a very ethical job, and it does pay the bills, so we're very grateful for it. However, at the same time, it's taken him a long time to gain the courage and the fortitude, because he would feel oftentimes burned out by the other job and by the social part of that job, and always needing to be on and fulfilling, and like I have also with my job, always needing to be on for other people and attending to their needs and helping. And it's a beautiful thing to do that. But it can also be, especially if you ever worked in any kind of social work or social justice or caregiving type of role, nonprofit role, or tech role where that's really expected. And maybe the pay isn't like, for as much as you're giving of your time and your attention, the pay does not come anywhere close to being what it quote unquote should in a more fair, equitable system in society. Right. So there was that. And so feeling that burnout and not feeling like you have the energy to even try for anything more when you have these beautiful visions that you feel like you're here to birth and that you feel like you're here to move towards and share that would be of such great value. And then you can actually, if you're your own boss, creating your own entrepreneurial program or system or whatever it is, you can actually charge what you're worth, especially if you believe that you're worth a lot, that you have an incredible value and gift to share with the world, and you're overcoming your fears of actually charging what you're worth. You're able to. You're not going to accept and settle for being paid minimum wage or even just like a 40, 50K a year type of salary, which is better than minimum wage for sure. But it's not quite getting you to thriving. It's just getting you to surviving a little bit better depending on where you live, because in some places that is just considered surviving, and in other places you can live pretty well off of 40, 50K a year, but you still can't do everything you want and you're not really thriving yet, especially if you're doing work that isn't really aligned with your soul's calling and purpose and visions. Yeah, so he is starting to break out of that mold while still supporting us and doing the things he needs to do. And so have I. We've been doing what we need to do to have all of our basic needs met, to cover all of our bills, to be responsible, tax-paying citizens, while at the same time spending time whenever we can, weekends, extra hours, whenever we can, like outside of our normal job situation that isn't so fulfilling, but we're doing it and we're grateful to be of service still, even if it's not our highest path. But we are still finding time and the courage to start and to keep taking aligned, conscious action and steps towards these higher, more aligned visions, work that lights us up, that we feel that we came here, that we incarnated into this world to bring to and provide value to people. Well, also, we're taught to do that work first. Reality transurfing and Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill, they both talk about showing up and doing it first, providing that value that's in your heart that lights you up. When you find that clarity, you'll know by trying it out too, you'll gain more clarity. But that thing that you came here, or multiple things you came here to do, that's your purpose and that's a gift that you have to come and share and provide value to the world. Like, we're meant to do that gift without expecting much in return. Obviously, if we start a course or a program or something aligned with that gift, like which I intend to do later in the year, next year, within the next half a year to a year, thereabouts, to share that gift, right? We are here to share that gift and we are here to. I've been talking for a long time and I'm starting to lose my voice a little bit. But we're here to create and birth something beautiful. That's the bottom line. And we're here to do that without expecting so much up front. Like, we can't expect to have the money come and have the comfort and the security come, and then we take that aligned action, then we bring this gift into the world. No, we are meant to, like I said, both of the books, Reality Transurfing and Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill, both say you're meant to take that action first. You're meant to provide the value first. Then life mirrors back. Like, the support eventually comes, but it's not up for you to be focused on the how, the when, the timeline, to get very mental about, like, how is this coming, to talk yourself out of doing the thing that you're here to do, like your special gift that you're here to share, just because you don't have the money rolling in yet and you don't have all the support. And I know it can be very hard to start something that we feel called to do when we don't feel supported in our life. So, like, my advice is just to don't quit your day job just yet. For most of you, depending on where you are financially. Obviously, if you have a lot of savings, if you have the ability to do that, absolutely, then just go for it. But if you still have to pay your bills and you don't have oodles of savings, oodles of security to protect you while you're starting this new venture, then that may not be the wisest thing to quit your day job. Maybe you stick with your job that's helping you pay the bills, or you choose another job that can help you pay the bills for now while you take aligned, conscious action and consistent action on doing that greater, higher thing that you came here to do, that you came here to share and to birth to the world and provide value to hundreds, maybe thousands, or possibly even millions of others. So do what's here for you to do. Slight edging. And slight edging means even if you just have 2 hours a week to start that new creative project, that's that gift that you have to share. You don't spend that time binge watching Netflix. You spend that 2 hours a week doing the thing that you've been scared to do, that you've been avoiding, that you want to do. And there's a part of your soul that's burning to do, but you've just been too afraid to even try. I think a lot of us, it's common to be quite disconnected from ourselves because we've been in a habit of drifting for so long. And this is not to judge anyone. Like I said, I was there for decades, just drifting. I vulnerably shared that a lot of my not so great habits kept me very unconscious for a long time in a very fearful, avoiding space. It kept me in a very low vibration for a long time, feeling like a victim, identifying as a victim. So I did that for a long time. And I have to say, it was one of the hardest things for me to forgive in myself that I spent so much time drifting, avoiding, not feeling enough, not having the courage to go for the things I really wanted to go for, looking for everything I could, every little hiding place I could to avoid doing the thing that I came here to do. And Napoleon Hill describes a similar journey. I don't think he avoided for as long as I did, but he does describe trying other things and it not being really it and kind of avoiding writing this book that he wrote, Outwitting the Devil, as well as his other books that he wrote that are also really great. I've only read one other one, but they're great. So I'll talk about that other one another time. But, anyways, this is a common thing. It's common to judge ourselves for it once we realize that, wow, look at all the time I spent just avoiding and hiding. And I could have started sooner and I could have been maybe further along my aligned conscious path of becoming a conscious creator. Looking too much back to the past isn't going to serve you, like beating yourself up, feeling ashamed. Those are all feelings that are coming up and they're legitimate and they're real. Give yourself time and space to sit with those feelings. Give yourself time and space to really forgive yourself. Forgive all the judgments you've held about yourself and those parts of yourself that were just trying to keep you they were trying to keep you small, limited, and safe, but they really wanted to keep you safe. So they kept you small. They kept you being an underachiever, being a drifter, being someone who lacked ambition or had little ambition, low ambition, who may have used spirituality, the identity of being a spiritual seeker, as another hiding place, as another place to use as a reason to avoid really stepping out of your comfort zone. It was your survival mechanism, this deeply ingrained survival mechanism within you that we all have as human beings to preserve what we already have, right? And at the expense of going for anything more, just that survival inclination, which is very strong and all of us. Judging that and really punishing ourselves for having that impulse and inclination for so long and living that kind of lifestyle of drifting for so long and for having so many habits that we're not proud of, right, doesn't serve us. We're meant to forgive ourselves for our past failures, our past mistakes, and we're meant to learn from them. We're meant to receive now if this is the only time we're able to receive it. We weren't able to receive it before, right? Because we just were too shut down. We were too scared. We had too much heavy emotion. We were just in basic survival mode and we couldn't see any clarity through the fog of where we were in our consciousness at the time. We're meant to forgive those past parts of ourselves, those heavy, burdened parts of ourselves. We're meant to do the healing work around that through somatic methods, through meditation. I've talked about radical forgiveness before, which is a wonderful method and one that I've relied on a lot over the years to help me heal my victim consciousness. And also it helps to heal perpetrator consciousness too, if you have that as a stronger vein within you more than the victim consciousness. I think the victim consciousness maybe happens to be a little more prevalent in most people, but both certainly operate. That's the duality. There's both victim consciousness and perpetrator consciousness in us all. So we are meant to heal those shadow aspects of ourselves, those aspects of ourselves. And I call it the shadow feminine if we're avoiding, because it's that part of us that has this beautiful gift and has some intelligence and insight and maybe some awareness, even if it's not super conscious, but that we're here for something more and we would like to do something more, but we're just too afraid and we don't feel supported enough and we don't feel safe enough. So we're hiding by staying small by keeping ourselves in a familiar state of comfort, which isn't so comfortable too, because we're like our soul, our energy, our spirit in a way is slowly dying at the same time. But we're just hiding. We're not willing to take up much energy in the world. We're not willing to be seen. We're not willing to assert any masculine, much if any masculine energy in the world, which is like that power to be seen, the power to be heard, the power to take up some space in the world, to not keep ourselves small, like actually articulate and take on leadership roles and create and birth something amazing, which really requires something of your heart and soul, which really requires a nice balance of both the feminine and the masculine. It requires creative, intuitive, right brain, like soul, heart level, like energy, as well as the intelligence, the acute, like they're both intelligent parts, but the feminine tends to be more intuitive and creative, insightful, and the healthy feminine. And the healthy masculine tends to be strong and fierce in a loving and powerful way that can hold the feminine creative genius in this beautiful embrace of supportive structure and power, and allows you to show up as a leader and share all these beautiful, divine, creative, feminine gifts and the power that you have with the world, providing beautiful value that helps make the world. For some people, it won't be for everyone. This is not for everyone, but for the people who are called to your message, the right people who are called to your message, and those will be the people who show up, right? It'll be for those people who want and are ripe to hear the message. They will get what they need out of it and use that insight and intelligence and information to fuel them and light a fire under their butts, that fire of excitement and energy and wanting to wake up out of whatever sleep and shadow they had been living in that was keeping them feeling limited and small, to start creating something that feels within their divinity and their power and within their soul and in their heart, whatever that is for them. Like maybe it's something artistic or some technical genius. I don't know what it is. It's different for every single person. Maybe it's writing. Like you just don't know. It's so different for each individual. But to light them up to do what they came here to do. So I really wanted to share that because it has been such a heavy mechanism that has been operating in myself for so long. And I unfortunately also see it operating in people in my extended network and like in a lot of young adults in my extended network that I've seen acting out some of these feminine shadow aspects of not wanting to show up, wanting to hide from life, wanting to rely too much on their parents, especially if a parent is enabling them. Some parents are very different, right? Some parents may enable you to keep staying small because that parent, maybe they're a bit narcissistic. They just, perhaps that parent is really attached to controlling their child, their adult child, right? So they will incentivize the child to stay in their household and stay comfortable just so that parent can have them under their umbrella of control, right? Through money and through giving that child a continued, which isn't a child anymore. It's a young adult. I'm talking about anybody over the age of 18 and into their 20s. Sometimes this continues into their 30s or 40s, but a parent will enable a child to stay very small under their protection and control, right? Through money and through a comfortable setup and situation. And that's very damaging for that young adult. That young adult is very oftentimes codependent with that parent figure who may or may not be a narcissist, but usually there's a very controlling desire within that parent to keep having the child do exactly as they want them to do and live the life that parent wants them to live. A young adult child's detriment because that young adult is not growing in their life. They're not taking any risks. They're staying in their comfort zone, spending a lot of time gaming and responding to whatever mom or dad needs when they call them. They're coasting in life. They're drifting. They're addicted to not so great habits, and they're not trying for anything that really matters for them in life. And there are others who didn't have the support from parents to stay in a comfort zone in the household for years past the age of 18 or 20. They had to break out on their own, like the story I shared about myself, where you found a job, you kept doing it, maybe you switched jobs sometimes, and however long you were drifting for. It was always just to get by, and you were still staying in a comfort zone, not so much under the control of mom or dad because your mom or dad didn't encourage that or didn't support you. But perhaps that was the case that you didn't have the support but you still were very much attached to living in your comfort zone as much as you could and drifting and finding just whatever jobs you could to get by, staying in that comfort zone and taking on different identities throughout that time. But none of those identities were really your truest and highest calling. They were ripe and okay for the time because there was a lesson in there for you to learn within that job, within that identity. There was, I just need some water, sorry. Okay. There was some lesson in there for you to learn within that particular job during that specific time, or there was a particular lesson that was attached to the identity that you were performing at the time that you're meant to outgrow fully now. And you're willing, as you're seeing that you're like, okay, I've done this long enough. I really want to become more courageous. I want to grow into a more courageous person who's not afraid of failure, who's willing to try as many times as it takes to provide something of beautiful value in the world that is fully from my heart and soul, that I feel lit up by, that feels like this is my gift to offer the world. And it's beautiful and it's wholly and fully me. And also, you're willing to do the work. You're willing to put in the time, the energy, the work on your off hours. You take the time that you have instead of drifting and watching Netflix or binge watching or whatever else you would be doing that would be avoiding your greater purpose, your greater emotions and feelings and healing, taking the time instead to meditate, to heal the wounded parts of you, the wounded feminine or masculine parts of you, the shadow aspects of you, to get real with yourself and get honest with yourself and become more authentic in your body and your being, to cry everything you need to cry out, to crying all that out in private, not turning it into a performance or show, but being there genuinely for yourself, that strong masculine holding the wounded feminine, like a healthy masculine holding the wounded feminine, is providing a structure and a support system for yourself to heal those parts of you that never felt seen or loved or cared for, the parts of you that felt like a victim for so many years, right? By society, by your family structure, your systems, all the challenging things that you've experienced in your life. And as you continue to heal and forgive yourself, forgive these wounded parts of yourself, and forgive other people who played a part, and systems too, people and systems who played a part in your ultimate awakening and healing of these wounded parts of you, because these systems and people who were a part of your difficult reality, right, that created opportunities for you to learn and heal and grow, that you may have resisted at first, but like when you sit with them and you start to heal them, whether it's through radical forgiveness or it's through somatic meditation or whatever it is for you, everyone has their own path, lots of meditation, right? You start to forgive like everyone and everything that ever contributed to your pain and your suffering and you feeling oppressed and marginalized and depressed and angry, and you stop feeling like a victim and you take responsibility that this was all divinely guided. Circumstances, situations, people, systems showed up for me and for lots of others too, to help you come to this point, to help you heal the wounded parts of you, to help you become a stronger individual, a stronger, more heart-centered person with brain, heart, soul coherence, right? Where your brain and your heart are in alignment and you are alive within your soul and you're lit up to do the things that actually are here to help serve the world and to provide value to others. And you're driven by this desire. You become authentically driven by this desire to provide true value. And you love doing it. And so this is something that you have to work towards by doing the healing work that I'm talking about. Like if you haven't started, there's no time like the present. Just start now. It is painful. Whatever was stored with pain comes up with pain. But the gifts and the insights and the blessings on the other side of doing this very challenging and painful healing work are immense and it's fully worth it. And you will be so proud of yourself delighted with yourself. And you also need to be careful not to let your ego feed into that too much. Like, it's one thing to feel proud of yourself, but you don't want to go out bragging. You don't want to be asking for attention and everybody look at me, I'm so great. You can feel quietly in your power and in love with the fact that you have conquered a lot of your shadow, or you are in the process of healing and overcoming a lot of your shadow and lovingly releasing it, and feel very grateful and a little bit of pride mixed with some humility too, because this is painful work. Whatever was stored with pain comes up with pain. And there will be points where you might feel pride about it, but you need to check that. Like, if you're starting to feel a lot of pride, or to start talking about it a lot to just any person. It's one thing to talk to your partner in a trusting, loving relationship, so long as that person is very trustworthy, a very close friend or loving, trusting partner who is really, truly your best ally, that's fine. But to just talk to any person in your daily life or world as you go about it, that's never a good idea, right? It's okay to say minimal things about what you're doing, to start talking about yourself and what you've overcome. People aren't going to understand. They're going to be off put by it a lot of times. They're not going to be ready to hear it. And it's going to come off as like you're bragging, or you feel like you're better than other people. So that is the trap of inflation and deflation. If you become inflated, you're also going to experience that equal and opposite deflation as well. So there's always that polarity, right? That comes in. Like, we're meant to experience polarities in this life. So that's a pendulum too. Please be careful. I've talked about importance and pendulums in a past video in relationship to reality transurfing. I'll try to link that video if you want to watch that after this video. Please feel free to do that. Please be careful of that impulse to feel inflated, the impulse also to feel deflated, because a lot of us may be in a deflated state and have greatly suppressed our gifts. And so we absolutely do want to come out of that. We want to be feeling good about ourselves, but not super prideful either. Right. I wanted to say that because I've noticed those tendencies in myself, and I've had to check them and come back to humility and gratitude and enjoy the fact that I don't feel so burdened. I don't feel so heavy as I used to when I was identified with my victim consciousness and limiting beliefs and feeling trapped and coasting and drifting for quite a long time in life, until the last year and a half is the turning point when I started to move on the path that I'm on now, that I'm grateful for. Some things to look out for, some things to be wary of. If you're here and this message resonates with you, there's a reason that it resonates with you. You've probably been waiting long enough. If you're here listening to this video, most likely you are somewhat conscious already of your limiting beliefs and your victim consciousness. This isn't fully new information, because I think most people who come to my channel aren't completely brand new to being aware of their own victim consciousness, their own limiting beliefs, their own stories that have held them back, their habits of drifting. Maybe they haven't called it drifting, but because you've never read Napoleon Hill's Outwitting the Devil, but whether or not you have some inclination that you haven't been showing up with full integrity and authenticity in your life, and you've just been surviving for a long time, and you're aware of that, and it doesn't feel good, but you've just been afraid and at a loss and uncertain on how to make that change. And if you don't fully believe that you can, I'm living proof that you can. And I haven't figured it all out. I haven't gotten to some amazing level yet in my life that I'm like I'm really fully living my dream yet, because there's still shadow work to do and release work, but I'm living a more aligned life. I'm living a more authentic life. I do now have the courage to do what I didn't have the courage to do even just a few years ago when I was still drifting. I actually have the courage to start my purpose. I have the courage to show up and provide value like I'm showing up and providing value now. And this is just right. This is what I'm here to do. This is what I'm so grateful for. And also, like, I'm doing what needs to be done to take care of things, pay bills, but I'm not putting so much importance on that. And I am willing to let it go at the right time and just full on later this year, but just full on merge with my purpose and what I feel is most fulfilling and provides a lot of value to those who are called to listen to this channel and to listen to what I have to say. I feel like when I am talking to you, I'm channeling from something greater than just this limited me. I'm using a lot of examples from my past experience But there's some downloading and channeling that's happening here because I feel source consciousness, universal source consciousness supporting me in a lot of what I'm saying. And of course, I'm human, so I have moments of feeling like not fully tapped into that and feeling a little, wait, I lost my train of thought because, of course, I'm human. But a lot of the time, I feel like in the flow state and channeling some kind of higher thing I'm here to share. And I find myself wanting to read more, learn more, like reading books like Napoleon Hill's Outwitting the Devil and Reality Transurfing and listening to supportive content. I'm very grateful for all of you that are here and that have resonated with this. If you still have doubts, if you're still feeling like it's too much, it's too hard to heal yourself, what you've been through, and you're still identified with some victim consciousness, that doesn't have to be the end for you. Take whatever steps are right for you right now. It may not be a huge step. It might be a small step of just starting. If you've done a lot already and you've seen through parts of your shadow, you've worked through it, you're probably ready to start getting clear on what you really want to bring into this world, right? Because you've already done a lot of healing work on yourself. You've already released a lot of shadow. And then you have to question, why am I still holding back? Why am I not starting to birth that thing that I really came here to do? That's for some people. For other people, maybe you haven't really resisted doing any healing work on yourself and releasing any parts of your shadow. And you still feel addicted to feeling like a victim, right? But you know that it isn't pulling you know that victim consciousness or perpetrator consciousness, whatever it is, limiting consciousness isn't fully supporting and serving you. And there's just something that doesn't add up about it. And you just don't want to stay feeling so angry and so hurt and so victimized and so oppressed by everything in the world. The more you focus on that, the more you believe in your victim consciousness, the more of that you attract. You're ready to start stepping out of that and to start seeing your shadow more clearly and to start releasing some of that past trauma and pain and that energy that you've been holding so tightly. And that's the best place for you to start before you start getting clear about what you really came here to do. Your first step is embodying that strong, masculine, loving, compassionate masculine position that can hold your wounded feminine and help that wounded feminine to release and safely release and feel more at peace and not feel like such a victim and not feel so weighed down and heavy and stuck in life. Maybe that's your first step. Meditation, somatic healing work, radical forgiveness. I've explained Colin Tipping. He is the founder of Radical Forgiveness, and he has a lot of great books on that. And I've even shared a worksheet. So I should link that video in here as well. Those couple of videos in here that is, you're listening to this message, you're ready to hear it, you're ready to kind of take the next step. Wherever you are, you'll know what's most aligned for you. I'm sending you lots of love on this journey and wishing you all the best.